Hi, and welcome to the Cash Borrowing Calculator video for the Cash Flow Forecast and Inventory Planner. We're going to go over the cash borrowing calculator that's incorporated into the spreadsheet. But before we do that, I just want to point out that this follows a very simple assumption of a 1-year term that is paid monthly. If the loan that you take out is different, it may be an 18-month term, it may be a 24-month term. You may have additional fees that you have to pay. This calculator is not going to take those things into consideration. And there is a way for you to manually enter what your monthly loan payments are going to be, and we will go over that. So please don't use the cash borrowing calculator as a way to schedule your payments for a loan that you have actually taken out. It's just a great tool for seeing how borrowing cash could impact your cash flow in the future. So, having said that, let's go ahead and get started. You see here we have a cell called interest APR, that's your annual percentage rate, and we're going to assume that we're going to take out a 1-year loan paid monthly at a 12% APR. Now, if we go to our cash forecast, we can see that in the month of February, we have a negative month-end cash balance, and in reality, we would need to borrow that much money at a minimum in order to cover our expenses. So if we go to the cash borrowing toggle and we toggle cash borrowing on, you'll see that the cash borrowing calculator will assume that you borrow exactly the amount that you have in deficit. And then below the month-end borrowed cash, you see the total borrowed cash. The total borrowed cash is the total amount that you're borrowing, including the total amount of interest that you would pay over a 1-year term loan. Up above that, here under the line labeled borrowed cash payments, you can see what those monthly payments would be, and more importantly, you can see how that would impact your cash flow going into the future. Now, let's say that you actually went to the bank and you actually opened up a line of credit and you borrowed some cash against that line of credit. Great. So now you know what your actual payments are going to be on a month-to-month basis. And when that happens, you're going to want to go ahead and turn off the cash borrowing calculator on the cash flow forecast and manually enter your actual payments from the loan given to you by your bank. So if we go to the cash borrowing toggle and we turn that off, you'll see that it converts back to negative numbers. And so what we can do is we can go to our month-end cash balance and we can enter into here, okay, so I went to the bank and I took out a line of credit and I borrowed $20,000. Great. So our month-end cash balance is going to now be the $20,000 minus the $11,304 in deficit that we immediately had to pay off. And that leaves us with $8,696 in positive cash balance. Once you enter that into here, it'll then flow to the next month's starting cash balance and flow through the rest of the forecast. But we do have to enter in the actual loan payments manually, which you can do here on the other loan payments line. Now, I'm not going to go through the math, but let's just say that the loan payments on a loan like that is $1,800 and you've borrowed it for an 18-month term. You would then take that amount and you would just simply paste it out across every single month until you've covered your total term length, however long that may be, whether that's 18 months, 24 months, etc. So that's just a quick and easy way that you can use the cash borrowing calculator to forecast how borrowing cash is going to impact your cash flow into the future. And then once you actually do borrow some money through a line of credit from a bank, you can then go in and manually enter those payments, see how that affects your cash flow going into the future, and you can also enter the amount of cash that you borrowed and inject that into your month-end cash balance so that that flows through the rest of the forecast as well.